What's up, big man buddies? I'm Quackers Co., and this is the fish fry for October 24th, being held at Fission Hydro Plant. For our cookware composition, we have the Splat Dualies, the Blaster, the Ballpoint Splatling, and the Goo-Tuber. We will always find better success in Fission as long as we stay on these higher platforms. At this point, whenever I have the best coverage weapon, I usually spend the beginning of that first wave painting every single wall. By that point, the match has already started, and bosses have spawned, so you can go immediately from focusing on wall painting to taking out bosses or lessers. And once these walls have that much coverage, we can wall jump in between them to whichever side is the most useful. And it's always helpful to remember that little ramp on the edge. Putting your back to it can cause you to get blindsided by something, so try to keep movement fresh between these two platforms. And if you're ever crossing that great bridge and you're getting flanked, don't forget you can swim through it to dodge attacks. Just remember to get your way back up to those platforms as quick as possible. And if you ever find yourself going into that pit where the basket is, no matter what reason you're going in for, try to make sure you keep your movement going and get back up. Staying in that center will lead to trouble. And with big shot waves not even touching these upper platforms, there's not much of a reason to stay down there at all. And this map's shoreline is a bit of a nightmare, since all the proximity-based salmonids target the closest player. Once you go down to the shoreline, you usually now have 50% of those enemies now targeting you. So staying down there will lead to trouble. So truly, if you ever find yourself going down there, always make sure that you have all these walls painted. Once you're down there, always try to find that quickest way back to the top as possible. If you're on the inside of the corners, always keep an eye out for anything that might surprise you once you turn the corner. And if you're on the outside edge, right by the shoreline, remember how square this map is and how many corners you can cut out here. This shoreline is full of movement options. With such a small amount of walls to paint on this map, try to do your best at the end and the beginning of every single wave to paint those walls. That's just one less wall you have to worry about painting at the beginning of a wave. So try to stay focused on what your goal is on this map. Keep your movement fresh, and always give yourself an exit strategy. And with Fission's real small size, once you see a couple flyfish spawn, if you have one of those specials that works well against them, please use it. This map is a nightmare once you have 2 or more flyfish. Crab Tank and Inkjet will both give you multiple opportunities to take out those flyfish. And remember, when you get back down, your ink is topped back off. So use it wisely. When everything's nicely painted, you can find this gameplay really fun of swimming in and coming back up, almost like a skateboarder or something like that. The viewer Mass Trouble commented a while ago, on rotations that don't take up too much ink, it makes it more easy to use splat bombs. And considering how much we're swimming through these walls and getting our ink back, splat bombs become extremely useful on clearing up those shoreline corridors. So try to use Fission as a way of using these movement variables in just really fun, cool ways. And if you haven't noticed it yet, whenever you're holding a squid surge, you're not getting your full ink recovery when you're in a wall. So try to not hold a squid surge in order to get ink back, because if you stay in that wall for too long, odds are Moz is going to come by, paint that spot, and you're going to be on the ground level. With Fission's size, try to remember how much ink is a resource in this game. You can easily toss one egg, swim the other egg back, and then by the time you get to that third egg, you'll have enough ink to either throw that third egg or to take out something that you just found. So with this stage's size, try to utilize Salmon lids and fish sticks for getting just a little bit more of an advantage on some of your enemies. When you're on top of them, lessers won't target you unless you're the only player left. The only thing that can take you out while you're up there are bosses. And wall jumping off of a fish stick can be really handy sometimes. If you're holding a squid surge and fly fish missiles start coming down on you, remember you can hold back on the stick and release the squid surge to wall jump off of it. That might save you from just having to tank the hit instead. And here's a flipper flopper tip. The flipper flopper won't show any visual damage on him until you break his helm, which is either done by causing enough damage to him or by having him slam his head into the ground. So if you see a flipper flopper with any bit of your color ink on him, remember you can take him out in the air pretty quickly. Low tide on Gone Fission can all of a sudden seem really tight, so it's helpful to paint all these walls. They'll help us with escape strategies and making advances on shoreline bosses. And for Gone Fission, try to take out those steel eels as soon as they're spawning on that shoreline. As soon as they block that middle lane, it's hard to provide support from the sides. And I'll probably put this reminder in every single Gone Fission episode, but the movement between these two platforms will yield the best success, not just in a glowflies, but just about any time during a match. Considering that there won't be any lessers on that corner platform unless there's a player standing there, it's always a solid point to get some kind of advantage on your enemies. So if you ever see a fish stick right here, take it out. It's going to be a big problem for you. What's incredible about the size of this stage is once everybody's doing a solid job, you might find yourself in the last 20 seconds having complete control over this stage. Alright, let's get into the cookware. Our first cooking utensil are the Splat Dualies. The Splat Dualies have some really good coverage on turf and walls. So like I said before, try to focus on painting those walls at the beginning of every stage. And the viewer Bell commented on how useful turret mode is on Dualies. And I just wanted to explain exactly how turret mode works. Whenever you dodge roll and then input no other movement except for camera movement, your dualies will have a faster fire rate and your two reticles will align into one reticle, giving you a much tighter aim. You can cancel turret mode by moving any direction or jumping, but with how small Gone Fission is, turret mode can be extremely useful on causing some really good damage to some of these bosses. But remember, once you're out of ink, you won't be able to dodge roll out of there, so try to make sure you use turret mode in very smart ways. Our third cooking utensil is the blaster. The blaster and the range blaster have a delay before your shot fires. It's always helpful to use that little moment to better hone in your aim. Once you have the aim really tight on the blaster, it does an incredible job at lesser control. But if you keep holding down the trigger, you're going to find yourself stressing over your aim. So it's always helpful with the blasters to be more strategic with where you're at in the map and where your shots are going. Our third cooking utensil is the Ballpoint Splatling. The Ballpoint Splatling's initial fire is a really fast fire rate close range shot, which is really good at causing some really quick damage to something really close to you, or painting walls. And once you charge this thing all the way up, it has some insane damage output. The viewers Bell and Galaxy Kitsune commented on how both the Ballpoint and the Nautilus can charge at any point whenever you pull the trigger. So if you ever need to access that fast fire rate for something getting close to you, remember you don't need to dip into the ink. but make sure you keep an eye on your ink supply. This weapon helps with being really confident with what your shots are doing. Try to never waste any of that firepower that you have. Once you have a charge lined up, try to use all that damage and painting output that you have. Our last cooking utensil is the Goo-Tuber. Since the Goo-Tuber has the worst wall painting of this rotation, it'd probably be wise to cover turf, as long as your teammates are painting those walls. This weapon does have piercing damage, which works really good on those corridors, causing massive damage to any lessers that may be in there. But Cohawks are not taken out with one shot, so if you're dealing with the big horde, make sure to keep firing charge shots through them. But if it's just one single Cohawk, one fully charged shot and then a couple tap shots will take him out. Every other weapon is better at taking down a stinger than the Goo-Tuber, but if you find yourself trying to take one down, remember quarter charge shots will give you a little extra range and enough damage to take out one bucket at a time. Both the Ballpoint and the Goo-Tuber should focus on the Kohozuna if you find yourself in an extra wave. And remember that the fish fry comes out before the stage rotation, so if you want to catch these updates when they're hot and fresh, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell. And if you want other Grizzco employees to receive these tips, make sure you like and share the video. Bye-bye!